The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle, where you can access your full potential right now. Finally break free from destructive habits. That dream life, if you want it, you can have it. This is where you transform your health, mind, business, and relationships. Or do nothing and keep your life the way it is. But if you're ready for change, you're in the right place. This is where you're gonna learn how to live a habit-based lifestyle. You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
Ego. Do you have a habit of living from an immature ego? For many of us, we were taught to believe that ego was bad. Maybe for some, it might be considered good. But what I really want to touch on today is this: developing a healthy, mature, high-functioning ego. Today, I'm going to talk about living from two types of egos. We have what's called a mature ego, and then we have what's called an immature ego. And depending on how and which one we're living from, they can either hold us back or they can propel us forward into the future. So ego has this weird thing that people tend to have judgments or criticisms about. They'll say things like, he's all ego. He or she's an egomaniac. And our ego begins to mask our truest self. It's designed to get us through childhood just to be able to survive. Now think back to possibly a mask that you may have worn when you were a child. You see, I had a coaching client the other day who was talking about they'd wished his spouse would clean and wake up earlier. And as he began talking about this, I simply asked him, hey, what mask are you wearing in this situation? And they began to say, well, what do you mean? And I said, what mask are you wearing? What mask are you wearing in this space? What are you really trying to do? And after a series of questions, they finally realized that they were attempting to control their spouse. They were attempting to control what their spouse was doing, how they were doing it. Think about, in your life today, what mask are you wearing? I have a mask. We all have these masks. We were taught these were how we survived as kids. Maybe it's the perfectionist. Has to get everything right. This is one of mine. Maybe it's the people pleaser. You can't have people mad at you, so you just say yes to everything. Maybe it's the protector. You feel like you got to protect everybody. Maybe it's the controller. This is another popular one of mine. The controller is someone who has to control everything. Maybe it's the skeptic, someone who's always questioning what's happening. Maybe it's the seeker, constantly seeking what's outside of them, constantly looking for the next thing. Maybe it's the victim. Oh man, how well we have played this. I have played this. The joker, the funny guy, the guy always making the jokes even when it's not very funny. The fixer, someone who finds their value in fixing other things for other people, and even the cool guy. These are all very clever ways that we can be. And what's crazy is when you actually look at your life, you can see patterns and when you actually showed up as this person. But this really blocks who we are being and who we want to become today. You see, the pain of living from this immature ego is our beliefs. They're skewed. All these masks are tied to emotions, and these emotions begin to take us to the past. Maybe some of our core beliefs are, I am not enough, so therefore I have to control. I don't have enough, so then I'm constantly seeking more. We have this scarcity consciousness. Maybe it's the victim mentality where we sit there and blame. We're in denial, self-deception. Maybe there's chaos and resistance all over in our life. And then there's these things of addictions, abandonment, and avoidance. These are all tied to scarcity. Maybe we're just constantly looking to rub ourselves up against someone the wrong way. You see, we hold on to a bunch of stuff like this, and it often feels like resistance or tension, and we can tend to get violent. Most of this dealing with our immature ego has to do with living in the past. You see, this immature ego is a past-based living where we reenact our childhood, yet we do it as adults, having to control every little situation because that's where we feel the safest. When we are in control, we feel safe in that place. And what might be possible if we begin to live with a healthy, mature ego? What might be possible if I could show up with a different set of core beliefs and core values of I am enough? I'm going to speak on this for a minute because this is a huge thing for me, is if I am enough, I don't have to chase these masks and begin putting them on. I don't have to be safe because I already am safe because I know that I'm enough. I have enough. So therefore, I don't have to prove to anybody. This is an abundance mindset. It's an abundance consciousness. But what if we could begin to use our mature ego towards getting what we actually want? I mean, isn't this really what it's about? Can you imagine how different you would show up in the world every single day if you didn't have to put on one of these masks? If you didn't live from this immature ego? What if I didn't need to control everyone else? What if I could just show up without having to worry about whether or not my wife's on her cell phone, what she's doing with the kids, or what she's doing all day because she's a stay-at-home CEO mom? How different would my life be if I didn't have to control that experience? How could I show up today in a way to begin to experience life where I was actually an instrument for life instead of trying to control life like a conductor? What if I didn't have to compare myself every single day to either bump myself up or to beat myself down? You see, a healthy, mature egos begin to speak their truth. And it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to be mad. But the whole point of it is not to slang it on others. It's to own it for yourself, to be authentic to you. You see, this mature ego, this healthy, mature ego tends to be flexible. It tends to be resilience. That's one of my favorite words. Resilient in who they are. It has gratitude, compassion, respect, not only for themselves, but for others. And then they want to create scenarios of win-win. Your immature ego is going to go back to manipulation. When you need something, all of a sudden you show up. You see, living in this healthy ego, when you live in this place, there's a path that begins to open up for you, for I, and it's the path of letting go. Letting go of the comfort of the past. And this all starts with facing your own mirror of reality, your own judgments and your own thoughts, because you will see those in other people because they become a reflection of you. See, there's a simple solution to this. This is one of the things that I work on with my clients, and we want to go back to the past. Just notice. Notice where you're going back to. Notice what mask you're putting on. When you notice you're resisting, you drop back into the present. When you feel this resistance and you feel like you want to put on a mask, ask yourself these 3 questions. Identify the mask that you're wearing. Is it the perfectionist, the people pleaser, the protector, the controller, the skeptic, the seeker, the victim, the joker, the fixer, the cool guy? Many times we go so far out into the past that we forget about, hey, who am I showing up as right now in the present moment? Today, part 2 of this, just making a declaration. Today I will let go of my mask. Identify that one mask that you want to let go of today. Question number 3, what ego am I living from in this moment? What ego am I living from in this moment? You see, my immature or mature ego, what one would I need to change to show up differently? Just asking yourself, hey, what ego am I living from in this moment? Is it my immature ego or my mature ego? What would I need to change to show up differently? I seen a sign the other day and it said, less egos, more amigos. I thought it was kind of funny, but I thought it was relevant. It's like, hey, how much am I using my ego to prove my worth to other people? You see, this is one of the most unhealthy places to be. The only one I have anything to prove to is myself. And if I don't prove it to myself, then I chase it everywhere else. So this is an opportunity for you to go through these 3 questions and get clear on which ego you're living from. And not only that, but begin to living from this healthy, mature ego, because it does take a lot of work. Even as I'm reading this, it's like, man, I showed up a couple of times yesterday with definitely an immature ego. It's something you're going to have to practice because we've had years of programming on this. We've had years of programming where this has taken place. Thank you for being on here today. If you're looking to connect further with a group of like-minded people, join myself and so many others in our Habit-Based Lifestyle Secrets group on Facebook. The link is going to be in the show notes. I'll be dropping daily habits, tips, and helping you live to your full potential. And if you want to be one of our next case studies and begin living this lifestyle, habit-based lifestyle that we talk about, email me, Jesse@habitbasedlifestyle.com. You can also check out my website, habitbasedlifestyle.com. Until next episode, have an awesome day.
The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse, you.